everyone. Welcome to Author Chat, or welcome back if you've been here before. Today, you guys might recognize my guest. I am super excited to have with me Savy from YouTube channels Savy Writes Books and My Morning Guru. And she also runs her own business, Furever Home Friends, writing books about rescue dogs and having the cute little plushies that go along with them. I am super excited to have her on the show today to pick her brain. Welcome, Savy.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm really excited to talk about writing with you, and I'm excited for your new channel. I have a bunch of your videos in my watch playlist, so I'm excited to listen to some of your other interviews too. Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate you coming on to my channel, and I am super excited to talk to you. And I'm kind of fangirling a little bit because I love your channel. I've been watching now for about a year,
Oh,
and
wow. Thank you.
I love your stuff out there. So, guys, after you watch this, be sure to check out her stuff, and we'll have all that. And I want to shout out because you have a brand new book out
I do.
as of June the 8th. So we're here real soon. It is a YA LGBTQ plus time travel novel, 90s Kids.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds super fun. Can you tell our readers about it?
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, at the time that we're recording this, I don't know when it's going to go up, but at the time we're recording this, the book actually just launched yesterday, which was really exciting. So, yesterday I had a book launch party, I had like a book launch live stream on my channel. And what's fun about this book is, so I started doing like AuthorTube videos like 2.5 years ago, like end of 2018. And uh that was the book that I was like in the midst of writing the first draft when I started my channel. So I was like, I had like the kind of the whole experience of this book on my channel where I'm like, here's my revision vlog. We're going to revise this book. We're going to go through it all with me. We're going to pick the prologue apart. Now we're going to like work on helping me decide if I'm going to pitch to a publisher or self-publish it. I don't know. And then all these videos where I just detailed the process. And then when I got the publishing contract, I did a video on that. When my cover came out, I did an interview with my cover designer. It's like I had the audience involved the entire process. So that was why this book was a really fun one to release. But the book itself is it's about two girls born at opposite ends of the 90s. So you've got one girl born in 1990, you've got one born in 1999, and then they both turned 16, one in 2006, one in 2015. And they both go to take their driver's license test. And unbeknownst to them, the DMV has been secretly developing time travel for decades. So the two of them end up both getting in a time travel accident through the DMV time portal, and they get sent back to 1989, where they meet each other, go on the run from DMV government authorities, and fall in love while having an 80s and 90s adventure. So that's what the book's about. It's probably, well, every book that I write, when I put it out, I'm like, oh, this is my favorite book ever. This is my favorite book ever. Right now, this one's my favorite book ever because it just like has so much of the things I love in it. It's full of, I mean, I'm an obsessive Back to the Future fan. I even got like my DeLorean time machine tattoo right here. And so like I'm obsessed with that. So there's like so many Back to the Future references and like parallels to it. And then there's so many like references to pop culture of like old video games and music from like the 80s and 90s and just different movies from then, just like all kinds of fun stuff.
Yes, it does. I read the blurb and was like, "Oh, this sounds so good." I don't usually read YA, but I'm very intrigued by this story. It sounds like just a blast,
Oh,
and
thanks.
it does sound like you had a blast while writing it. So.
Yes. Well, if you do read it, I hope you enjoy.
And I have you on here today because I know you talk a lot about small businesses on your channel. You're a small business supporter, and we have a lot of information on your channel surrounding that. And you started one with your Furever Home Friends, which is cute, FUR forever.
Yes.
As a play on the rescue dogs, and
Yes.
you have one of the books, I believe, is about your own dog, correct?
Yeah. Yeah, I started Furever Home Friends back in 2017. So the business is it's getting close on 4 years now because I launched the first two books for that in August 2017. So its business is almost 4 years old, which is wild. But yeah, one of the books in the series is about my own dog, Chewy. And it's a series of like it's a book and plushie and toy company. So I produce picture books, plushies to go with the picture books, other toys, merch, things like that. And each character is based on a real rescue dog, and each book like tells their story of how they found their forever home. And so I kind of based the model on like the American Girl dolls, but it's like American Girl dolls but with dogs, but also true stories.
Where did that idea come from? Did you get Chewy first? Did that kind of kickstart the whole thing, or did Chewy come after you had the idea?
A little bit of both. So that the idea of writing about rescue dogs has kind of always been there. One of the first stories I remember writing in my entire life when I was like 4 years old, I used to write stories about my dog, and that's kind of like what got me into writing in the first place. So kind of worked out pretty well there. But when I was in, I want to say eighth grade, my family adopted a black lab. And that's the one that Princess Allie is based on. And we would always, my mom would make jokes about like, oh, she's such a little diva, because she was always demanding everyone's attention, and like you gave anyone else attention, she'd start whining. But she was like the sweetest, like biggest sweetheart. But my mom would be like, oh, she's such a diva dog, I'm gonna need you to write a story about the diva dog. And like, so I would like try writing the story sometimes, and we'd talk about it here and there. And then one year when I graduated college, I gave my mom like a collection of writing and drawings that I'd been working on. And I was like, I'm committed to actually making this book because I know how much you want it. And she was so excited. But I still didn't know exactly what to do. I was like, do I want to just make this a picture book? Do I want to try to illustrate it? Do I want to hire someone? Do I want to pitch to a publisher? What am I doing? Then when I adopted Chewy, that's when it came together kind of, because I adopted Chewy in 2016. And Chewy has a lot of trauma from his past. He was 2 years old when we adopted him. He was dealing with a lot of anxiety and mental health issues. And this was around the same time that I just finally been formally diagnosed with OCD and had finally gotten myself medication. And it just kind of hit me how much like humans and animals can really relate, even on a more like complex level like that. So I started to realize, okay, well, if Chewy, he's a dog, but he's going through anxiety in a similar kind of way that I am. We even take the exact same medication. So it's wild, literally the same dosage and pill and everything. But I'm like, okay, so it works out. But that's when I realized, like, okay, there really is something here to this idea of like kids really connect to animal characters, and animal characters can introduce people to these more complex ideas that adults might think are too hard for kids to understand, but they can introduce them in a kid-friendly way through the perspective of a dog. So maybe I need to write a book about Chewy too and add this. And then I'm like, this is going to be a whole series. And then at some point I'm just like, there needs to, like, it could be a series of a book and a plushie. You get the plushie, you get a little adoption certificate. So I was talking to my mom about this, and I started getting her to work on designing the patterns for the plushies, because she sews and she makes a lot of clothes for me, and she makes my pillows and blankets and stuff. So I was like, you want to design a plushie pattern? She wasn't sure about it, but we worked on it for a little while, and we got one that she was happy with. We tried hand making them for a little while. It wasn't sustainable, so now we get them manufactured. But it's just kind of grown from there, and we've been adding new characters as we go, and I've been writing more books. I've illustrated a few of them. I've hired other people to illustrate some of them. So it's just been a growing process and kind of a growing team of people involved too.
Okay, that's what I was gonna. The manufacturing is interesting, because that seems like it would be very intimidating for me, because
Mm-hmm.
not knowing anything about it. How did you go about figuring out getting manufacturing for your plushies?
So the first thing I had to do, unfortunately, was we had to have the stuffed animals had to go on hiatus for like months, because after we realized, okay, we're drowning in this pile of fluff, our fingers are gonna fall off, because like my mom and I had this little assembly line, and like she has like a sewing and crafting room, and we had a little assembly line going in there, and we're like she's like cutting out all the fabric pieces, she's sewing them together on the machine, handing them to me, I'm taking the fluff and just like stuffing each limb individually. After we fulfilled 60 orders of them, and we're like, nope, never again, this cannot. And so we were like, she's like, these are officially sold out. Like we until we find a manufacturer. So I wasn't sure where to go with that, but through like I joined in Chicago SCBWI, which if anyone here is not a children's writer, that is the Society of Children's Book Writers and Illustrators. And through a meeting there, I met someone who was like, hey, Savvy, someone mentioned to me that you're an author who's looking to get plushies produced. I'm the opposite. I'm a plushie creator who's looking to get books produced. And so we started talking, and I started recommending her some resources about, book publishing and things like that. And she put me in contact with her plushie manufacturer. And so I called up that company and we talked about what prices they can do. And I also, went online and got price quotes from a few others as well. But this was the best one that I could find that would do them in small quantities, like, 200 and less, without charging a ton of money for each one so that I would have to raise the prices way higher. So I ended up going with them, and I started off by getting 100 of Just Chewy produced. And then I ran a Kickstarter campaign to raise the funds to put in the bulk orders to get the rest of them.
Okay. And so do you have them all like the plushies shipped to you and the books, put them together, or do you have somebody that puts them together and sends them out when you get orders?
So I do. So this is what's cool. This is my home office, the room right there. It was like a dining room, but we eat it on the couch in front of the TV, so we don't need a dining room. Yeah. So the dining room is a fulfillment center. So I've got like boxes and boxes of stuffed animals. I've got boxes and boxes of my book stock in there, and I've got all my packaging materials. I've got I order hundreds of shipping boxes at a time, hundreds of bubble mailers, and I store them all in that room. And then when I get an order that comes in, I go into the fulfillment center and I take a plushie. The plushies and books, because the books get printed, the plushies get produced, they don't come from the same manufacturer. So I get those things, and then sometimes I have like accessories that go with them, which I actually make myself on the 3D printer that we have. So we have a 3D printer and I make things there. So then I'll take the plushie, I'll take the book that someone ordered. If they ordered an accessory that I have, I'll take some of that, put it all together in a little box, package it up, and then it's my job to go take it to the post office once a week. So I kind of do everything for it pretty much.
Awesome.
For that element, I work with people on, I have a social media manager, I have a web content writer. I actually have 2 web content writers right now. So I have some employees for this as well. But for the most part, the shipping and all of that I'm handling all of that.
Oh, okay. Wow. If you guys can hear, my cat is at the door protesting. But she was in before the interview started and wanted out, and I could see where this is going to go. And
that's how pets are. They can never make a choice.
So if you hear a meowing, she's fine. I just won't let her in, and then back out, and then back in again. So Savvy, you are a very busy woman running your businesses and YouTube channels and everything. How do you keep it all organized?
I mean, I don't know. I'm just a workaholic. And that's the thing. I have a hard time giving advice on this because I don't really recommend my life to anybody. This is what I like to do. So this is just what I want to do all the time. I mean, I also put things in Google Calendar, but I feel like that's a pretty obvious piece of advice, but that's what I do. I put everything in Google Calendar. And I prioritize that. I feel like it helps that I don't have any kids. I know a lot of people who have kids, but last night on my book launch party, when we had my publisher on, and she has kids and runs her own publishing company, and she's got all that together and spends tons of time with her kids. So I'm like, you're even better at time management than me. I don't know how you do it. So I don't know how I do it. I manage it somehow, but
I feel like that's how we all work. We manage it somehow. Don't know how. So, do you think that it's beneficial for writers to view their writing as a business?
I think that depends what your goal is. I think it all comes down to what your end goal is. So for some people, yes, absolutely, and for others, it might not be. Are you writing because for me, I view my writing as a business. I view all my writing as a business, but how much of a business lens I apply to each thing varies by the book. So like Furever Home Friends is, my LLC is my company. So I view all of that as these books are a product in the same way the plushies are a product. So I look at it with that lens, and I'm trying to do analytics and all that kind of stuff. And then, other books like 90s Kids, I had a publisher publish that. I didn't publish that myself, so I really focused on the writing element of that. And yeah, I do some of my own marketing. I went with a small press, so I do a lot of my own marketing and stuff. In addition to what my publisher does, she does a lot of great work. But that one, I didn't really view that book as a business venture that I was going on. That book felt more like I focused a lot more on just developing the story and things like that. This book I'm putting out in August called Cancel Sean Boston, which is a co-written book with my podcast co-host that we wrote together. Our book is it's a business venture in the sense that the two of us are self-publishing it, and we do all kinds of business stuff together, but it's also it's also less of a business venture in that it is very community based, in that like we hired people from our podcast audience to do everything for this book. We hired one of our viewers as the cover designer. We hired one of our viewers as the editor, because all these people had these skills. So the book feels more like a community effort, because we've also been live streaming the whole writing and editing process for a year on this book. So I think it really depends what your goal is. Like, is your goal to find a core like little target audience of readers that you can build up? Well, then maybe you want to view it as a community effort. Is your goal to have this be your full-time income? Then yeah, you should view it as a business. Is your goal to work with a publisher to get a story out there? Then maybe you can just view it as a piece of art while still trying to balance that with marketability. But I don't think there's one right way. I think you got to take it on a project by project basis.
Yep. Good answer. And so do you use your YouTube channels as view those as businesses as well?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I do. It's I don't try to go into like figuring out marketing tactics and things like that for my YouTube channel, because YouTube feels like it's important to be authentic and sincere, and like when you join communities, when you get to know other people, when you connect with people, that's what'll help your channel the most. But I do make money from YouTube, so I consider it a business in that way. And it also serves somewhat as a content marketing vehicle, because I definitely talk about my business. I plug it, unless if I have a video sponsor, I don't plug it, because I think you're not supposed to plug anything other than the sponsor in those videos. But like, if I don't have a sponsor, I plug my own business. So it also is a way that it gets a lot more people aware of the fact that this company exists and things like that.
And I know part of your channels, I have read and reviewed and gone through a lot of business books, particularly My Morning Guru. I believe you do a lot of
Yeah.
of reading business books and living it. Do you think it's beneficial for writers to study up on businesses, on business tactics and strategy and things like that?
Yeah, it definitely can be. I think it depends where you're looking. So a lot of business books, if I did a video recently that was like business books tier ranking, you can see most of them are useless. And so it's like I read a ton of business books, and a lot of them I'm like, well, I didn't learn much from that other than I can get a funny review out of it or something. But then there'll every once in a while be ones that teach you a lot. So yeah, I mean, I think specifically looking for books that have to do with the business of writing and things like that, to being a little more specialized. Because when you go into the business book section at a bookstore or on Amazon, you'll find that there's so many, and then a lot of them just try too hard to cover everything. They try too hard to cover this big topic of business in general. But a lot of, there are some conventions across multiple industries, there's also a lot of variation, especially in terms of how each thing is evolving over time. So I think it's definitely important to be specific with what you're reading. But yeah, I think that it can be helpful. It's been helpful for me.
I did see that video, and I do enjoy your commentary on these books at times. I have enjoyed your deep Dave
Deep Dave.
videos.
I'm working on episode 3 of Dave Ramsey Deep Dave for this Friday. So that's what
I enjoy that because I don't know if you know, I'm a Nashvilleian. I'm a native Nashvilleian.
Oh,
I know where that company is. I have actually had applied for a job with that company. I didn't get it, and I'm glad now. But if you guys
Uh-huh.
haven't seen it, go watch the video. But and I also have met Dave Ramsey in person. It's been 20 years, and he
Oh,
does.
really? What was he like?
Yes, he doesn't know me from Eve, but we spent about 6 weeks in his financial peace course. My fiance at the time, now husband, we had to do several like things in order to get married in our church, and counseling and financial counseling was part of that. And Dave Ramsey at the time was running his financial peace course at one of the mega churches in Nashville.
Mm.
I don't think it's there anymore, but I won't name it. So we went there, and I met Dave, had actually took the course from him, because I don't know if anybody else was doing it at the time but him. Like I said, this was 20 years ago. So yes, he wouldn't know me, but I've met him and I probably still have a signed copy of that book over here in this pile somewhere down
Huh, that's
there.
interesting.
But yes, I did. So I knew about obviously his religious affiliation, because his course was at a church and through church, which is fine. But your deep Dave on him was eye opening, and
Yeah,
never
we're
been
going
so.
over his lawsuits at the end of the week, so that'll be fun. I'm interviewing a lawyer about them.
I've never been so happy to have lost out on a job in my entire life.
Dodge a bullet.
It would not have worked out. There was a reason that I did not go
Yeah.
there. And that's, oh my goodness. So that's crazy, I swear. But it's an enjoyable series. Was eye-opening and entertaining all in one fell swoop. So so what do you feel has been the best takeaway that you've applied to your businesses from reading these books?
Let me think about that. Best takeaway from reading a book.
There
Um,
been something that you've applied to your own business?
Trying to think what I've gotten from certain books, just as I've read so many of them at this point. I'm like, what have I gotten? What have I applied? What has worked for me? Um, I will say I know that one thing we've definitely applied, and this isn't to Furever Home Friends, but to the Your Morning Guru podcast. One thing that we have applied is when we read this book called This is Marketing by Seth Godin, which yeah, I reviewed in that tier ranking video and we talked about on the podcast. But in that book is where he talks a lot about how community based marketing is more important than like tactic based marketing. Those weren't the terms he used, but basically the idea was that you want to, build that core community, which has always been something I've believed in. But I think the way he explained it was really strong about getting a community of people together, that are the people who truly believe in what you're doing, and then it'll expand slowly from there. And so that's led us to, on the podcast, we regularly now say the subscribers we have are more important than the subscribers we don't have. There's a podcast channel's 5% of the size of my main channel, but we're not trying to go and use any ads to get people in. We're not trying to do algorithm tricks. Like, do we want people to find the videos if they're interested? Yes, absolutely. So we try for that, but we're not trying to clickbait or things like that, because we really want to make something that is for the people who are there and are already interested in this type of material, and then watch it slowly grow from there with people recommending it to each other or other people joining in, because they're that audience for that thing. So it's really about like interacting with an audience and building that community. So that's definitely something we learned from that book. And I definitely think that applies to Furever Home Friends as well, in that I try to be a very personal type of business owner. I think one reason people like buying from small businesses is that you can tell there's a person behind it, and there's often one person or one family that you're directly supporting their work, and you're also getting the thing out of it. So I always, like, when I send out an order, I try to package them up really. I hand paint the boxes that they go in. I give a little handwritten note with each order, and things like that.
Nice. Yeah, I think that, yeah, a lot. That's what I've heard a lot is that personal connection.
Yeah.
Because you don't, I mean, it doesn't do you any good to obtain 10,000 followers and 9,000 of them don't interact or watch a
Yeah.
video, or, it's just a number on a screen at that point. If there's not someone interacting with the content, then you still don't reach anyone at that point. So,
Exactly. Yeah, and I mean there's also something to be said for having a wide net. Like my main channel has, as of a recording this, 23,000 subscribers, and most, I'd say only about 10% of my subscribers are specifically there for author videos. I
mhm.
think the rest are there specifically for business critiques, which is fine. I just know that when I put out a business critique type of video, it's going to get a lot more views than if I put out a video just about writing that doesn't have that angle to it,
Okay.
which is fine too, because it also though means that I have found a lot of people who said, hey, I found you through this anti-MLM video or through this critique of Tony Robbins or whatever, and then I found out you do writing videos too, so now I'm going to stay for those. So even though
Yeah.
my writing videos are going to get a lot fewer views, about a tenth of the views of other videos, it's still worth it because you end up finding more people who are interested too. So kind
Yeah,
of,
I'm
trying
in that
things out in
camp.
opposite ways but similar ways. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm in that camp too. I think I found you over a Rachel Hollis video, I think.
Yeah, a lot of people did. I think that either the one where she got divorced or the one where she made that TikTok that was like, what makes you think I want to be relatable? Those were the two videos that like the majority of my audience found me through.
Yeah, I think it was one back. There was I think it was a review of Girl Wash Your Face, and
Oh yeah, that one too. That was like my first video that got any traction
yeah,
when I
something
did
about
that.
that. And then the sense of humor was mine too, because you were like, girl, wash your ass. And I'm just like, oh,
Girl, wash
yes.
your ass. You
I'm
gotta
like,
wash it.
yes, I'm watching this girl right here. This is my kind of content.
I'm so glad.
I don't know what that says about me, but whatever.
Yeah.
So, what does your typical, or do you have a typical writing day? What does your day look like?
No, I really don't have a typical writing day because it's like, what even am I writing? Am I writing a magazine article that's due the next day on a deadline? Or am I writing a draft of a Furever Home Friends book that won't come out for a year? Or am I doing revisions on something? So I'm very goal oriented. So I work based on when things are due, when I have to plan them for. And if I'm self-publishing, then I set my own due dates and my own deadlines. And I try really hard to stick to them. And then I block things out based on that. So my schedule is chaotic. The only constants in it are really the videos. So I know I podcast stream every morning at 8 a.m. I do my sleepover stream in the evening on Wednesday, and then I have my Friday video premiere. So like those are my constants. But when it comes to the rest of the work, I try to stick to some semblance of a schedule, but it's really all over the place. I wish I had a schedule to give you guys, but I'm a chaotic person. That's just kind of how it is.
And I know you were living as living as gurus, taking their schedules
Yes.
from their books and doing their morning routines. Did you have a favorite morning routine?
Favorite morning routine. I don't know. I think, well, my favorite week in general, just in terms of the most productive one, was Marie Kondo, where we lived as Marie Kondo. We ended up living with her for 2 weeks because she was like, we actually found her to be so valuable. And I'm such a hoarder. So, like, I had to clear out so much. And I cleaned out like 12 bags of old clothes that didn't fit me anymore. And I got my bedroom organized. And I was just like, wow, she's actually getting me to think about being able to let go and throw stuff out and making me reflect on where that comes from. So while that's not specifically a morning routine, it's just following like her methods. I think that she's been my favorite one that we followed in terms of the, also we're doing intermittent fasting week.
Hmm.
So I'm trying intermittent fasting, which I'm not going to give anyone advice on because I'm not a professional dietitian. I don't know what's right and what's wrong. I just know that it helps motivate me not to drink so much beer. So that's where I'm trying to go with that.
Well, I had someone on. I did interview a author who wrote a book about intermittent fasting,
Oh,
and her
interesting.
and her weight loss journey through her teenage years, and then talked about her disordered eating and moving through that, and learning about intermittent fasting to help her with her health. And it's sort of a book about her journey on that, which was interesting. So you might want to take a look and see if that's of
Yeah,
interest.
I will. That sounds good.
All right. So where can readers find out more about you and your books?
Yeah, so first, I mean, my YouTube channel, Savvy Writes Books, I'm on there all the time. I post a lot of videos, or you could check out Your Morning Guru, which is my live stream podcast channel. We put out new episodes every morning at 8 a.m. live. You could chat, we'll respond to the questions. Those are the places. But in terms of where, if you want to buy any books, you can go to fureverhomefriends.com. Forever, like with a U, like you said, like dog fur. So go to fureverhomefriends.com. And then if you, right now I'm sold out of signed copies of the self-published novels that I have, but if you want signed copies of those, you can go to savyleiser.bigcartel.com, which is also my merch store. So I've got merch and signed copies of the books available there. And they're also all on Amazon, so everything's there as well.
Okay. And I will, of course, have all of Savvy's links down in the description below where you guys
Awesome.
can find her. And definitely check out the Furever Home Friends. And were you still doing a charity donation to
Yeah, so for Forever Home Friends, we donate 10% of our profits to Chicago animal shelters. So we do a donation check either like every couple months or so. So it's not like immediate, but I do, like, once I get all the tabulations done, I write them a check. So yeah, I do donate 10% of profits. And then right now, a fun thing also is that for cat owners, everyone's been asking when are we gonna have our first cat character. So we're running a contest. And I can send you the link to put in the description, but we're running a contest where you can enter stories about your cat, and we're going to choose who's going to be our next character that will have a book and plushie based on them. So the contest is open till July 31st. And then I am going to probably do like a short list. Maybe we'll do voting. I'm not exactly sure how we're going to narrow it down to one winner because there's a lot of entries. A lot of people seem to have really cool cats. So, but if you have a cat that you want to enter in the contest, then go right ahead and enter them.
That's right. So check that out and grab some books from Forever Home Friends for a good cause. And so don't forget about 90s Kids out now, and YA LBGTQ plus positive book there. We're going to plug that for June, actually, and for all times. I think we should make sure that everybody is included all months of the year. So
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
go ahead and grab that. And if you haven't subscribed to Savvy's channel, head over there and do that. But first, send us some likes and some comments and subscribe to my channel for more author interviews. I keep forgetting to plug that at the end of my so make sure you guys do that and help me out in the algorithms. I really do appreciate it. And thank you so much for your time today, Savvy. It has been great meeting you and getting you on my channel for an interview.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
It has been fun. So guys, have a great week, and I will see you next week.